It's either you are a liar, or you've been lied to many times. Let that sink in for a second. You've probably wondered at some point, can I actually tell if someone is lying to me? Maybe it's a friend, a partner, a coworker, or even someone you just met. And right now, I want you to think about the last time something felt off in a conversation. You couldn't prove it, but your gut was telling you something wasn't right. That feeling matters more than you think. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Most people believe they're good at spotting lies, but research shows the opposite. On average, people only detect lies correctly about 54% of the time. That's barely better than guessing. So if you've ever been lied to and didn't catch it, you're not alone. It's actually completely normal. Now here's where it gets really interesting, and this is something you need to understand if you want to get better at this. People lie every single day. Studies show that around 60% of people lie at least once in a 10-minute conversation, especially when they're trying to impress someone. And overall, the average person tells about 1 to 2 lies per day. But here's the part most people don't know. Not everyone lies equally. A small group, about 5 to 10% of people, are responsible for the majority of lies told every day. That means some people lie constantly, while others only lie occasionally in social situations. So when you're talking to someone, you're not just asking, are they lying? You're also asking, what type of person am I dealing with? Now let's get into what you actually came here for, how to spot a liar in real life. First, forget the myth that liars avoid eye contact. That's outdated. In fact, someone who is lying might look you straight in the eyes more than usual. Why? Because they know you're watching for signs. They're trying to convince you. So instead of focusing on obvious behaviors, you need to focus on changes. Here's what I want you to do. The next time you're talking to someone, don't just listen to what they say, watch how they say it. When someone is telling the truth, they're remembering something that actually happened. That's easy for the brain. But when someone is lying, they're building a story while talking to you, trying to keep everything consistent and watching your reaction at the same time. That pressure creates cracks. One of the biggest cracks is inconsistency. If their story changes, even slightly, that's a red flag. Maybe the timeline shifts, maybe small details don't match, or maybe they add new information later that wasn't there before. Truth stays stable. Lies need adjusting. Now pay attention to this, because most people miss it. If someone gives you too much detail, especially when you didn't ask for it, that can actually be a sign of lying. It sounds backwards, but it's true. Liars often think that more detail makes them more believable, but instead, it can feel forced or unnatural. Also watch their timing. If you ask a simple question and they pause longer than expected, it could mean they're thinking about what to say instead of remembering. But if their answer comes out too perfectly, like it's been practiced, that's also suspicious. Real answers are usually a little imperfect. Let's talk about body language, but in a smarter way. Don't look for one specific action, like crossing arms or looking away. That doesn't mean anything on its own. What matters is change. If someone suddenly becomes stiff, starts touching their face more, or shifts their posture when a certain topic comes up, that's where you pay attention. Now here's one of the most powerful signs you can watch for: emotional mismatch. This is when their emotions don't line up with what they're saying. For example, if they're telling you something serious, but they look calm or even slightly amused, something's off. Or if their reaction feels delayed, like they're acting instead of reacting, that's another clue. Listen carefully to their words, too. Liars often distance themselves from what they're saying. Instead of saying, "I did it," they might say, "It happened," or "That situation occurred." It's subtle, but it shows they're not fully owning the story. And then there are those phrases you've definitely heard before. "To be honest," "I swear," "Believe me." Here's the truth: people who are actually being honest don't usually feel the need to say those things. So when someone keeps trying to convince you they're honest, you should quietly ask yourself why. Now let's talk about something that will completely change how you see this. Why people lie. Not all lies are bad. Some people lie to avoid hurting someone's feelings. Some lie to avoid conflict. Those are small, everyday lies. But a lot of lies come from fear of getting in trouble, fear of being judged, or fear of losing something important. In those moments, lying becomes a defense. Then you have lies for gain, when someone wants money, status, attention, or control. These lies are more calculated. And then there are habitual liars, people who lie so often it becomes automatic. They don't even always have a clear reason anymore. So when you're trying to figure someone out, don't just ask, are they lying? Ask yourself, what do they gain from lying right now? That question will give you way more insight. Here's a technique you can actually use in real conversations. Ask unexpected questions. Most liars prepare for the obvious ones. But when you ask something slightly different or out of order, it puts pressure on the story. You might see hesitation, confusion, or contradictions. You can even ask them to tell the story again, but in reverse order. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Someone telling the truth can usually do this. Someone lying will struggle. But I want to be real with you for a second. There is no single sign that proves someone is lying. Not one. This isn't like in movies where you catch someone instantly. What you're doing is reading patterns. You're stacking signals and asking, does this make sense? And most importantly, don't ignore your instincts. If something feels off, there's usually a reason. That doesn't mean you accuse someone right away, but it does mean you pay closer attention. Because at the end of the day, here's the truth. Most people lie. Some lie every day. A few lie a lot. But once you understand the patterns, the behavior, and the psychology behind it, those lies become much easier to see. And once you start seeing them, you can't unsee them.